It's Algebra 2, Test 5, went through Lesson 2.1. First thing is we have a very controversial question about the vertical line test. Some call it stupid, but it is very easy, so don't miss this one tomorrow. Um, these lines are here. They're kind of hard to see. Remember, if you make a vertical line, if you hit any of the graph itself or function or what could be the function more than once, it fails the vertical line test. So that one right there, if you make several vertical line tests on this one, you can notice it only hits it. Each one of those lines only hits it once. Now, letter D is easy. You can see when you do it, it hits it twice. So A, C, and D, and D fail. B is the one that's controversial because the graph is a vertical line. Now, when you draw a vertical line here, it doesn't hit it at all, or here. But if you draw a vertical line through the vertical line, it hits it an infinite amount of times. So all it's got to do is hit it more than once to make it fail. So the only one that doesn't fail the vertical line test is C as in cat. Combining the like terms for number 2, negative 5C minus 9D plus 7C minus 7D. Put your C's together. Negative 5C and positive 7C. Negative 5 plus 7 is going to be positive 2C. And then negative 9D and negative 7D. Put those two together. They're both negative. So add them up. You get negative 16D. Distribute 3 times 3y and 3 times negative 3. Then put your like terms together. 8y and 9y and 8y is 17y minus 9. Solving these equations, you got y on both the left side and the right side. Put the smaller y over to the larger one. Or you could go the other way. That's just typically how people do it. Negative 8y smaller. Undo that by adding 8y to both sides. If you add it to the left, you got to add it to the right. That gives you a positive 5y. And it's still minus 2 on the right. It cancels here. You still have negative 8 on the left. Since you brought y over to the right, bring your negative 2 over to the left. Undo that by adding 2 to both sides. So negative 8 plus 2 is going to be negative 6. That'll cancel out, equals 5y. Undo 5 times it by dividing by 5. Negative 6 divided by 5, there is no number that goes into both. Therefore, y is equal to negative 6 over 5. Distribute negative 2 times y and negative 2 times 6. Minus 14 equals all that. Bring the smaller y over to the larger one. Minus 8y, you undo that by adding 8y to both sides. It cancels out and leaves you with negative 14 on the left. When you add 8y to the right, negative 2 plus 8y is positive 6y. You still have negative 12 over there. Since you brought 6y over to the right, or now you have your y's on the right, undo minus 12 by adding 12 to both sides. If you add it to the right, it cancels out and just leaves you with 6y. If you add it to the left, you have negative 2. So you have 6y is equal to negative 2. Undo that by dividing by 6 on both sides. So you have y equals negative 2 over 6, which will simplify since the number 2 goes into both. It goes into 2 one time and into 6 3 times. So y equals negative 1/3. Number 6 says 6 times x minus 0.8 minus 0.2 times 5x minus 4 equals 2. Distribute 6 times x first. 6 times negative 0.08, negative 4.8. Negative 0.2 times 5x is negative 1.0x, just like negative 10 with a decimal in the middle. And negative 0.2 times negative 4 is going to be positive 8, but it has a decimal again, so it's positive 0.08. Combine your like terms. 6x and negative 1x is going to be positive 5x. Combine the other like term, negative 4.8 and positive 0.8 is going to be negative 4 or negative 4.0. You still have equals 2. Now it's a whole lot easier. Undo your minus 4 by adding 4 to both sides, and you have 5x is equal to 6. Undo 5 times something by dividing by 5 on both sides, and x equals 6 divided by 5, which is considered simplified. Number 7 says negative 5 equals x over 8 minus 4. Remember, you normally work, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, but when you undo, you work backwards. Undo minus 4 first by adding 4. If you add 4, add it to the left. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1 equals x over 8, which means x divided by 8. You know to cancel out division by multiplying by 8. If you multiply to right, multiply to left. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. It'll cancel this side, leaves you with just x. Number 8 says 4 plus 8n is equal to 28. Undo the fact that this is positive 4 or plus 4 by subtracting it. If you subtract 4 on the right, do it left, do it on the right, it leaves you with 8n on the left. 28 minus 4 is 24. Divide by 8 on both sides, n is 3. Distribute 5 times y and 5 times 6. Undo addition of 30 by subtracting it on both sides. 5y equals 15. Undo multiplying of 5 by dividing by 5 on both sides. Y equals 3. Number 10 was solving for the indicated variables. So you're trying to get t by itself. This is the same problem we've been having for 3 weeks. It says 3 times r to the 4th power times t. So you're undoing the multiplication here by dividing by everything that's not t. 3 is not t, and or r to the 4th is not t. If you do that, it cancels out and leaves t all by itself on the right. But if you divide one side, you got to divide the other side. So s divided by 3 r to the 4th gives you t all by itself. Same steps for number 11. T equals 2 times u divided by e. Solve for u. So you have to cancel out this division first. So you have t equals 2u over e. Undo divide by e by multiplying by e. If you multiply the right, multiply the left. You have e times t now equals 2 times u. Undo 2 times something by dividing by 2 on both sides. U is equal to e times t over 2. Now u is all by itself. Number 12, simplify negative 4 plus 6 squared times 5 minus 2 cubed. Do inside parentheses first. Do 6 squared first. 6 squared is 36. So you have negative 4 plus 36. Do what's inside the other parentheses right now. 5 minus 2 is going to be 3. Okay. Still do what's inside parentheses. Negative 4 plus 36 is going to be positive 32. 3 cubed is going to be 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. So you have 32 times 27. That's 14. You got to carry a 1. That's 22. 0, 4, and 6. 4, 6, 8. 864. (13) says write the ordered pairs for the relation, find the domain and the range. This first one here is at negative 2, 5. This next one is at negative 1, 2. This next one is at 0, 1. And this next one is at 1, positive 2. And then this last one is at 2, positive 5. Notice they mirrored each other. Okay, so those are your ordered pairs. Find the domain and the range. Your domain is all of your x values. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. All of those are your domain. Your ranges are all of your x values. Ranges, notice there are fewer x values. Only 1, 2, and 5. There's only 3 of them because 5 and 2 were both represented twice. Graph in the relation, again, find the domain and range. It's always x comma y. So at negative 1, positive 1/2, like halfway between the two. In fact, we could probably draw this one in a little bit better than this. Let me change it. Okay, here we go. That's a little bit better. Just made it a little bit bigger. Negative 1, positive 1/2 would go there. Negative 1/2, negative 1. So negative 1/2, negative 1 would be there. 3/2, which is the same thing as 1 1/2, 0. So 1 1/2, 0 would go there. And then 2 3/2. So 2, again, 1 1/2. That's why you would graph each of those 4 points. Find the domain and the range. Your domain are all of your x values. So domain is negative 1, negative 1/2, 3/2, and 2. Your ranges are all of your x or your y values this time. Ranges are 1/2, And if you write them in ascending order, you always want to put the smallest one first. So negative 1/2, negative 1. Wait, I'm looking at the wrong numbers now. Again, make sure you're looking at the y values. Your smallest y value is negative 1. Your next smallest y value is 0. Your next smallest y value is 1/2. And then your last smallest y value is 3/2. Make a mapping diagram for the relation. So a mapping diagram is going to be your inputs and your outputs. The smaller, remember you always go in order x, y, so negative 1, 0, 2, and 4. Then in your outputs you put your y values. So negative 2, 0, 2, and 3. When you show the relations, negative 1 goes with 2. So here. 0 goes with 0 there. 2 goes with 3. And 4 goes with negative 2. There's a mapping. Some people use ovals, but that means the same thing. Find f of x equals 2x plus 7. Find f of negative 4. So all you're doing is instead of f of x, you're putting f of negative 4 equals 2 times negative 4 plus 7. So right here, you forget about this. This just acts like y. You don't have to undo the fact that says times negative 4. That's a mistake sometimes people make. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 plus 7. So f of negative 4 equals negative 8 plus 7. Just subtract those two numbers and you get negative 1. So f of negative 4, which means the same thing as y, equals negative 1. Number 17 says, suppose f of x equals 4x minus 2 and g of x equals negative 2x plus 1. It says find f of 2 and g of 0. Or f of 2 over, that's how it's written, g of 0. So f of 2 equals 4 times 2 minus 2 over g of 0, g of 0 equals negative 2x, negative, this one here, negative 2 instead of times x times 0 plus 1. So right here, you're just isolating, you're just doing what's on the right-hand side. You don't have to change anything where it says f of 2 and g of 0. 4 times 2 gives you 8 minus 2. Negative 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1. Simplify that. 8 minus 2 is 6. 0 plus 1 is 0. 6 divided by 1. So f of 2 over g of 0 is equal to 6 over 1, which is simply 6 when you substitute it. Graph the equation y equals 3/2 x plus 3. Okay, you can graph this different ways. Most people in here are probably most familiar with graphing this as y equals mx plus b. B tells you where to begin. So you begin on your y-axis at 1, 2, 3. So that's your beginning point or your y-intercept. M tells you where to move. M says 3 over 2. Slope is rise over run. So that means how many times do I go up since it's positive? We're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3. And how many times do I go over to the right since it's positive? 2. So up 1, 2, 3 and over 1, 2 is your next point. You have 2 points and you can draw your line better than that. 2 points will be here. You can draw your line through those 2 points like so. And that's just sketching the graph. Finding the slope of this one, usually the hardest part of this is knowing which points to use. They highlighted 2 points for you though. Notice something about all of these numbers though. They're counting by 2. So even though this point on the right that they highlighted is in the middle, so it's a little bit harder, it's going to be at 5. And this one here is at 5 as well. So you go on, that point right there is actually 5, 5. Okay. This one over here is at negative 4, 6. So just see how many times your slope is rise over run. Rise means either up and down like an elevator or over, run left or right. So to go down from positive 6 here to positive 5, you go down 1 time. So negative 1 over, how many times do you have to go over? From 6 to get to 5. Negative 4 to get to 5. So you're going 2, 4, 6, 8, and then you're going 1, not 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8 plus 1 is 9. Your slope for this one is negative 1 over 9, rise over run. Number 20 says to evaluate y equals x plus 6 times x minus 3 for x is equal to 5. So y equals 5 plus 6 times 5 minus 3. 5 plus 6 we know is 11 times 5 minus 3 is 2. Y equals 11 times 2, which is 22. 21, 2, and 3, we're naming these properties right here. Negative 2, this is what it is on the left-hand side. Negative 2 outside of a parentheses, it changes. It becomes negative 2x minus 20 because you distribute negative 2 to both of them. That is the distributive property. Number 22 says pi times 13 equals 13 times pi. Notice they just trade places. They commute places. Pi's first on the left, it's second on the right. So they move over. That is the commutative property. And it is of multiplication. Negative 3.9 times 1 equals negative 3.9. Notice what its identity was at the beginning. It was negative 3.9. It remained intact. The identity stayed the same. Therefore, that is the identity property. And again, this is multiplication, so it is of multiplication. Number 24 says to evaluate the expression for the given value of the variables. They give us a value of A and they give us one of B. So instead of 3 times A, 3 times 4, plus instead of 2 times B, 2 times negative 1. Do your multiplication first. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 12 minus 2 is 10. Negative 2 times x squared minus 5x minus 1 when x is negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3 squared. Remember, you always treat something you substitute in as if it has a parentheses around it. Minus 5 times x again is negative 3 minus 1. Do your order of operations. They tell us to do exponents first. Negative 3 squared means negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. Times negative minus 5 times negative 3 minus 1. Order of operations says to do multiplication next before subtraction. So negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15 minus 1. Negative 18 plus 15 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Number 26 says x to the third, or x cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x minus 1 when x is negative 2. Again, it goes inside of parentheses when you sub it in. Negative 2 cubed minus 2 times negative 2 squared minus 3 times negative 2 minus 1. So do your exponents first. Negative 2 cubed means negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4, times another negative 2, which gives you negative 8. Minus 2 times negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4, minus 3 times negative 2, minus 1. Do your multiplication step next. You still have negative 8 here. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 3 times negative 2 is plus 6, minus 1. Negative 8 minus 8, these two together are negative 16 plus 6, minus 1. Negative 16 plus 6 is negative 10, minus 1. And negative 10 minus 1 is negative 11. And that's it.